This guy is nuts. Is he really making daily recordings of his possible divorce and releasing it as a podcast? They both cheated on each other. She's making six figures and still doesn't contribute to any joint endeavors financially. Why is she still with him? Why is he still with her? I can't wait for the next episode. This helped me be a better wife. So this is how men think. I hate my husband less now. I understand my wife more now. These are some of the listener comments to the Divorce Diaries podcast. All over the map, I know. These anonymous accounts of events should resonate with anyone that has been married, is married, or is preparing for marriage and helps couples avoid pitfalls as they might prepare for marriage. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
Welcome to the rebooted Divorce Diaries podcast, where I don't rant like a little bitch the whole time and complain and act like everybody else is the problem, like I did in my first bunch of bullshit recordings that are no longer public. This recording, this diary entry is going to be on how my wiring was just so fucked up and how I looked at things. I'm putting it into my wife's words. I was just talking with her yesterday briefly, and she said that I always wanted more and I always wanted her to be better. And she has always had a much better way of articulating things than I ever have. And I always wanted her to be better. Which, let's translate that. She was never good enough. Now, when I sat and I thought about it, even back then when I didn't even realize the jerk and asshole that I really was and the pressure that I put on people, when I went and thought about it, I'm like, no, I mean, she's good. I just wish she would do this thing, or stop doing this thing, or whatever. And now looking at everything, I'm just like, there's so many things that she did that were good. I don't know why. Even if, let's just say the over and under of my wife was she did 75% of the things that she did was good. And I think that's low. It's probably more like 80. Maybe more like 90. But I would focus on the maybe potentially devastating effects of the 10% of things that she didn't do great, how much they would hurt our family, let's say. And then I would focus on those. And if anybody knows anything about typical philosophy, psychology, I forget exactly what it is, but when you focus on something, you usually get more of it. If you focus on the success that you want to attain and the way that you can get it and the methods, the ideals, the processes, blah, 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 you'll usually get more of that. If you focus on the problems, what you don't have, what you lack, you'll probably get more of that, because whatever we tend to focus on sort of manifests. It's not necessarily a religious thing. This isn't some woo-woo shit. It's just a statement of fact. And if anyone is responsible enough to think back to the times where you thought, oh, I'm going to have a bad day. Oh, traffic's going to be so bad right now. Oh, I know they're going to screw up my order. It's almost like you're putting yourself in a place where you're just looking for that bad thing. You're looking for that mistake. You're looking for the flaw. And when you're searching for the flaw, even if it's not there, the time that you're spending looking for the flaw and the bad thing, you're likely going to miss the good thing. Like right now, let's see. I just completed a job interview over the phone, and I'm sitting in a parking garage at my job, and I'm recording this because I didn't want to, there's a lot of little notes that I make. Record this session, record this diary entry, and just make sure you get it on the card. Just record it. And so now I'm recording, and I'm in this parking garage after the interview, and it is 1:30 in the afternoon on the 23rd of July. I came in late today. I had a lot going on, and I had to park in some restricted parking because that was closest to the door, so I could go in and sign in and take care of a few things before I came out briefly to have this interview. So I did that, and I had to come back to my car, and I could look at that like, oh, I'm parked here. I'm going to get a ticket. I'm going to get a ticket. I'm going to get a ticket. I could have thought that the entire time. But instead, I parked my car in the restricted area and I said, there are 5 other restricted spots around me. If anyone comes in the next 10 minutes, they should have ample parking. These spots don't fill up that often, and I'm here midday. These spots shouldn't fill up at all today anymore. So I said, I had a perspective and a mindset of, it's going to be okay. I'm just going to leave my car here for a minute, and if I get a ticket, the world won't end. So I was able to calmly walk into my desk as opposed to frantically walking into my desk. Stressing myself before a very important job interview. If I'm on a job interview, that means I either need another job or I want another job or I want to change or I need a change. Either way, I should probably put myself in the mental headspace where I'm going to be the most relaxed, calm version, poised version of myself that I can be when I have this job interview. And what's going to be key to me doing that is me relaxing as I'm walking in and focusing on the fact that if I get a ticket, the world will not end, so it just doesn't matter. Okay. It's a really hot day today. It's July 23rd. It's really freaking hot where I am. So I am thankful that I'm at a building, at least for a temporary time, I'm at a building that has a really big parking garage. So I get to get in my car and my phone isn't exasperated and it's overheated and it's like, oh, it's going to take a while for your phone to cool down before you can turn it on or send a text or put in a map direction or anything like that. My perspective is, man, I'm happy that I'm in this parking garage. And instead of pulling out of the parking garage into a sunny spot, I just drove up the parking garage a few levels, found a nice spot in the back where I could have this job interview on my phone, because it was a virtual one, have it on my phone, nice and calm. So I've now snowballed with my positive perspective. I didn't do this in my marriage. I would snowball my perspective with my negative perspective. My wife's going to do this. Oh, when I get home, I know she's going to have this. I bet you dinner's not going to be ready like she said she would. Oh, I bet you the kids are going to need to do this. I bet I'm going to have these chores to do. Oh, I bet. I know I'm going to have to. Oh, it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. And then I go home. And here's a few things that I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice that my wife came and hugged me at the door. Now let's sit with this. Let's sit with this for a minute, because I have a very contrasted, if that's a word, perspective on my life right now, because I'm living in my own apartment by myself now, and I'm about to surrender my dog. About to surrender him because just the timing has been all wrong. And the poor guy, he's only 8 months old, and I'm about to surrender him because moved from the family house where that would have been more conducive for a dog, and we kind of bounced all around and moved to one apartment, and now think something happened, and I'm moving out to my own place, and I'm living in my own place now, and I have the sad realization of what my perspective always was, because I used to think my perspective was spot on, and I used to think I was right, and I used to think I was the smartest motherfucker in the room. But now, I think back to those days where I would come home so frustrated and on edge for what my wife wasn't going to do, and I didn't even notice that I came home to a woman that just wanted to hug me when I came in, wanted me to hug her. My wife made a lot of mistakes, but she was really, really good in a whole lot of ways. And I just, I did what I was taught by my parents. We pick apart what's wrong and we try to fix it. Well, at least that's what I thought they were trying to do. I thought they were only picking out what was wrong because they wanted to fix it and they wanted resolution and they wanted results. And I looked at them as valiant people with righteous perspectives, and my parents were actually just nitpicking, control freaks, perfectionist control freaks that were nitpicky. and accusatory. And they were tough, my family, very tough. So I'm looking at it now, knowing that I did that to my wife, it really breaks my heart. I mean, she was really a sweetheart. She made a bunch of bad mistakes, and even if in my first episodes, like while I was complaining, I was screaming at the top of my lungs, and I was just complaining because I just wanted somebody to hear me, and I didn't want to hurt them. That's why I changed my voice, and I will still change it. And that's why I don't say anybody's name and anything like that. I just my wife did a lot of rough stuff, but I almost expected her to do rough things. I expected her to make bad mistakes. I would tell her that she was going to make a mistake. When she did make a mistake, I would throw it in her face and I would hold it over her head and I would say, see, here's why you don't do this. And I'm thinking I'm doing it all in the name of righteousness. But I was just righteously indignant. That's all I was. I was just a fucking asshole to my wife. Really put her fucking through it. And at this point now, she just can't take any more. And for a very long time, I'm like, can't take any more. Can't take any more of what? Can't take any more of me providing a good home for you. Can't take any more of me being there for you. Can't take any more of me being financially stable while you're so financially shaky. Oh, while I'm steady Eddie and you're fucking impulsive as fuck. What do you mean you don't want any parts of me? I'm me. I'm great. I'm perfect. That's what I really thought, and that's how I really walked around. And I had a wife that just wanted to hug me. And she wanted to try to make me happy. She wanted to be happy too. But she just kind of, she never meant anything by what she did. Except she always came from a place of niceness and purity and goodness. Even if she was misguided in some of her perspectives, who the hell am I to be constantly calling her out? Hurting her feelings, tearing her down, thinking I'm building her up, or acting like I'm trying to build her up. I'm not fucking building her up. I was fucking breaking her balls. That's what the fuck I was doing, like a fucking dickhead. So yeah. In this diary entry, for all the guys out there, if you are not calibrated the right way, like I'm not, and like I wasn't, really take your time and step back and examine your wife. Examine her for who she is, not by the certain things she did, what she did, and really be fair in your perspective of her. Because I think if you do that, you might find that your marriage is a lot better than you think it is. And hopefully you don't find yourself in a position where it's too late. And, for us, I don't know right now, for us, it might be too late because my wife did do a lot of things. And she reacted to certain things in ways that I don't find good or tasteful or becoming or warm or whatever. And that might all be because of how I treated her over the years. But she did do it, right? So my wife and I both, and maybe her more so than me, she's gonna have to say to herself one day, like, I can stand to try and give this one more chance. And I will also have to say, I'm thankful that she's going to give this another chance. Or I would say, there's part of me that wants to give this another chance, but there's a part of me that was really, really hurt by some of the things that you did, and maybe we've done a few irredeemable things to each other and we just can't come back together, and it would be unhealthy for either of us to try to pursue this again. I do believe that our family is at stake, and us being together is the only chance that we have to actually have a family again. I know that I've just read a bunch of articles, and a lot of people say, "Oh, you will find love again. You'll associate yourself with someone else." And da da da. But what I know is I really opened myself up to my wife. I mean, we've been together since we were teenagers, and I've opened myself up to this woman in ways that I can't even imagine opening myself up to another person like this. Like, even after my wife's like hurt me and stuff like that, my wife having like my passcodes and her being able to get into my accounts, me willing every possession that I have to her, like, oh, she's getting it all. I'm gonna will her everything. Everything. If she's dead, of course it's going to the kids, but I'm willing my wife everything, regardless of her status. And I just can't even imagine meeting someone else and them doing the things for me that my wife did for me and my children, and giving them what my wife had, what my wife like is entitled. Oh my gosh, like that would have to be a really, really special woman for me to do that, and I don't know that'll ever happen. That would be something. Jeez, that'd be something. So yeah, I don't know. And with me and my wife living in separate places now, and seeing how this goes, I don't know. You know, in a perfect world, I just wish I hadn't done a lot of the things that I did, and I wish she hadn't done a lot of the things that she did. Because maybe that bad blood, like, is permanent. Maybe you gotta wipe the slate clean and just go with somebody else. But again, I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about dating or talking to anybody else. I mean, do I want to have some fun? Am I a man? Yeah. But I'm also not seeking anything, and I'm a fucking homebody, so I really don't go out and I'll like call up a friend here or there and like hook up with a guy friend. But me going out, nah, it's not a thing. But who knows? Yeah, thanks for listening to the Divorce Diaries. Got a little tears in it. This episode, this entry. All the best. Men, fix your marriages if you can. Women, fix your marriages if you can. Chosen unions. It's got to mean something if you actually chose that person. And it wasn't based on anything like money or some bullshit criteria. Until the next one.
Wow! That was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully, these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.